welcome to episode 5 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had an excellent week. I've mentioned before how I've been preparing for a knitting show coming up, and it is tomorrow, the Toronto Knitters Frolic, and I am so excited. I have everything ready. Everything is in bins, and later today I will be packing up my car and heading to Toronto to set up my booth. So if you are going, please come by booth 19 and say hello. I can't wait to meet you, and I can't wait for the show. I've been very busy this week, but at a more relaxed pace than usual. Like, I feel like I've just been able to get things done, not so much last minute, that's usually my thing, and because of that, I've actually had a fair bit of knitting time this week, and it's just so nice to be able to do my work, but then still get some knitting time, because when I don't get to knit, I get cranky. Don't know about you, but I need to knit. So what do I have for you this week? I have some fun things to show you. I have a finished object, I have progress on my stripes and stranded socks, and then I have 2 new projects that I'm planning on casting on very, very soon, and I'm going to talk about those. And then of course I have my collection. You guys picked some great fabrics last week, and I have a new collection. So let's get started. I'm going to start with my sippy sip. Vern, this is for you. I'm still drinking my maple tea because I mentioned how I did an order to restock my cupboard, and this week I've been griping to myself about how long it's been taking, and then I looked into it yesterday and there was an error with my order, so it's just been sitting. So I processed that, and it's probably going to come any day now. So next week I might have some new tea to share. That's exciting too, right? Right. Okay. My finished object. Last week I showed you the progress of a little stuffy that I've been making. So I talked about these guys last week. They are the characters from The Princess Bride, and the designer who made those patterns has other patterns for other characters from the movie. And because I'm participating in Crafty from Relatively Crafty podcast, she is doing a Stuffie KAL for the spring season. And because I'm participating in that KAL, I've decided to make some of the other characters to go with my little set there. So last week I showed the start of Princess Buttercup, and she's done, and she is adorable. Okay, ready? Here she is. Isn't she pretty? Oh, I'm so happy with her. Now, I will say, because I did not make these were made for me as part of a Princess Bride swap, and I can tell just by looking at them that they were made with different yarn. Then I used Red Heart Super Safer, which is a pretty thick worsted acrylic, maybe even an Aran, and I think these were made with, looks like Karen Simply Soft, because it has a sheen to it. She is quite a bit bigger than those guys, but that's okay. I think for the purpose of display and just the purpose of nostalgia, that doesn't matter, right? Right, okay. So she is all done. She took maybe 4 good sessions of working on her. I mentioned the pattern, about the pattern before. There was nothing, and like with most toy knitting, there was nothing overly complicated about the pattern. Now, I will say there were a few parts of this pattern that made me just stop and think for a minute and just be like, what is this designer trying, like what is the end result that she's trying to accomplish here? Because there's maybe 1 or 2 parts that weren't entirely clear, and one of those was the skirt. I found the skirt to be more complicated than I think it needed to be. It's made up of like 6 different pieces, because she made it so that, see how this is kind of sticking out here, and it's kind of layered to give the skirt a bit of volume, because, you know, it's a fancy dress, I get that, but I think it could have been simplified. So if I were to make this again, if I have a reason to make another buttercup, I think I would do the skirt differently. But otherwise, the head was very easy. The hair, she has in her pattern 2 different options for the hair. You can either do knotted strands, so just like where you cut yarn and knot them in, or you can do this curly hair, and I would totally do the curly hair again. It wasn't hard to do. It was basically just 2 rows of crochet, and it just kind of curls on its own. Isn't that crazy? But I think it just, I think it adds a different look to it than if I had just tied a bunch of knots of yarn on her head. So yeah, and then I mentioned last week as well how I was planning on going to Michael's to get some metallic thread to do the little embellishments, and I did. You can see her little sash there, and I did a little headpiece. The pattern had a headpiece, an optional headpiece in the pattern, but it was kind of like a round, like cap thing, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like that, so I just did like, you know, single crochet or a chain row and then a single crochet back, and then I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but I added some beads into just the front part of the band there. So she's got some kind of like pearly AB, like AB coated beads in the front there, and I think it looks really nice. And here's the back. So I just kind of tucked it under her hair there, and the back of the sash, and I think it has just a really cute finished look. Now, the eyes. Let's talk about safety eyes, shall we? So I went to Michael's last week to try and get the metallic thread and some safety eyes, full well knowing that the safety eyes might be a challenge. Why is it so hard to find safety eyes in Canadian craft stores? I don't understand. They did have some, but they only had one size and they were only brown, and she needed blue eyes. So I also went to Fabricland, and they had not really safety eyes. They had these like glass button type eyes, but they were like $10 for one pair of eyes, and they weren't what I wanted, and they weren't the size I wanted. So I ended up going on Etsy, and I've ordered eyes from Etsy before, but it's always been from either US or overseas sellers, and I just really didn't want to wait this time. Like, I wanted to get her done. I didn't want her sitting for 3 weeks while I waited for eyes, and I also didn't want to buy like a pack of like 500 eyes for one project. I know I will make other toys, but not necessarily with these same color or size eyes, and I just wanted the eyes that I wanted, right? Like, have you ever been there? Like, you just want what you want. So I ended up finding 2 Canadian safety eye sellers, and the one I ordered these from was actually I think in Brantford, so not too far from me, and she had her eyes where you could just buy one pair, and I'm sure that the cost of the one pair was not, you know, much cheaper than if I had ordered somewhere else and got like 100 pairs, but I just wanted the one pair, and sometimes it's nice just to get exactly what you want. So I would recommend the seller. I think I ordered, it took like 3 days to get here, and because it was within Canada, the shipping was very reasonable. I did order a few other pairs because I want to make the rest, at least a few other characters from the set, so I ordered some brown eyes as well, so I'll be able to make those. I'll have those for me, ready when I need them. But yeah, so if you're looking for safety eyes in Canada, I will put a link below of the one that I ordered from, and also there was a second Canadian seller that I found. So I will put the links below, because sometimes it's hard to find safety eyes, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's a basic craft necessity, right? Right. So anyway, she's done. I'm very happy with her. And her little sleeves. See her little, she's got like these little bell sleeves. It's very pretty. Oh, an update. Okay, so I was saying how Avery was looking at her while I was making her, and Liz was like, oh, are you making a doll? Is it for me? Can I play with it? And I told her that she had to tell me who it was if she wanted to play with it. She got it. Now, she couldn't tell me the name, but her first guess was Rapunzel as I was making the hair and stuff. That's a pretty good educated guess, I think. But I was like, no, it's not Rapunzel. And then she thought, and as soon as I finished the dress, like I said, she couldn't tell me the name, but she came over to my little shelf with these guys and was like, is it the girl that goes with them, who gets taken on a horse? And I was just like, yep. So this weekend, so after the frolic, the day after I do the frolic, the show, any show, the day after, I am pooped, and I basically cannot move from the couch because my legs are so sore. So I told her on Sunday, we will watch the Princess Bride movie, and she will have these little characters to play with. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on this set. I probably won't do another one from the set right away because I have another plan. Shall we talk about that plan? Let's talk about that plan. So the next toy I'm going to make for Christy's KAL, I think I'm going to try and make toys here and there right up until the KAL ends and see how many I can get done because they're pretty quick. So the next one I'm going to work on, there is a toy designer named Barbara Prime, and she goes by Fuzzy Mitten. That's her like design name. And she occasionally, I think she might do it every year. I don't think I've done it every year. But she does a mystery knit-along with toys, right? I'm sure most of you have heard about mystery knit-alongs. There's a lot of designers who do shawl mystery knit-alongs. And I have mixed feelings about those. I did one once, years and years and years ago, before I before I came to the realization that I am not a shawl knitter and not a shawl wearer. I signed up for one of Stephen West's mystery knit-alongs, and I think I got through the first clue, and then I started looking at what other people were like. I let a few clues go by and was watching how their shawls were taking shape, and I was just like, nope, this is not for me. So I never finished it, and it's kind of you pay for this pattern and then you don't end up using it, right? So I haven't done shawl knit-alongs since then, but toy mystery knit-alongs, it's a toy, right? Like, I feel like the risk is pretty low, because even if it's not really, is there a bad toy? I don't think so. So regardless of what the outcome is, either Avery will like it or I can always give it away to someone else, right? So I think 2 or 3 years ago I did the mystery toy knit-along that she had, and this is what it was. Okay, see, he's pretty cute, right? So we didn't know what we were making, and she has you start with like part of the toy that doesn't really give it away. Maybe we started with the legs or something, or the arms, or I don't know what we started with, but this was the one that I did a few years ago, and I've been pretty happy with it. You can kind of see she's a little sad looking. She has been played with, so, but that was fun. I enjoyed it. Now, I did it with a chunky yarn, and usually she calls for like a DK worsted, so it would normally be smaller than this, but big toys are fun too. So that's the one I did before. And then the one that I'm going to be doing now, the clue just came out yesterday. And so I've looked through the clue, and I've been trying to find some yarns from my stash for it, and I have no idea what it's going to be. I think I'm going to avoid the thread in her group, because I know as people work on it, people start guessing what the animal is, and I don't think I want to be influenced by other people's guesses. So I think I'm just going to follow along on my own, and I'll share my progress every week. She says that the clues can be done in like 1 or 2 evenings, so I should be able to do that every week. And the first clue is for the companion toy. So it sounds like there's like a main toy, and then there's like a little buddy toy, and I don't know what it's going to be. So the first clue is for the companion toy and an accessory to go with the companion toy. So that will be interesting. We'll see. I'll have that next week for you. And well, you can guess along with me. You know, what is this toy going to be? So that's going to be fun. So that's the next toy project I'm going to work on. And then I have for you the other project that I've been working on this week is my Stripes and Stranded Socks, because I really want to finish these. This is the pattern Stripes and Stranded Socks by Carmen from the New Leaf podcast. And she is doing a knit-along in her group for these socks. So if any of you have started them and are working on them, she has a knit-along going on in her group. And I just checked this morning, because I know originally the end date for the KAL was the end of April. And while I do think I could finish these for the end of April, I have a bunch of other stuff I want to finish too. Like, I'm also working on my Desert Vista Dye Work socks, and those have to be done by the end of April. So I have a bunch of other projects I want to get done, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all this done. So I checked her group, and she's extended it till May 9th. So if you're working on these socks and you think you can finish them by May 9th, you can enter them in her group for her KAL. So I showed you last week a finished sock. This is my finished sock, and I love it so much. I love the colors. Red and aqua are one of my favorite combinations. This was originally going to be another project, and it was a shawl, and I don't wear shawls, so I ripped it out, and it's now going to be socks, and I know I'm going to wear these socks. They are thicker. I've tried them on, they fit pretty well, but they're thicker, so I think they're going to be like more, I don't think I'll wear them in like my boots to go out. They'll probably be like more house socks, but that's fine because they're so cozy and they're so pretty, and I can just look at them all the time on my feet. So this is the first one, and then I've been working on the second one, and I think I've made pretty good progress on the second one. So I was working on these last night, and I was able to put the heel in. So I've got the foot done, and I was able to pop in the heel last night. So now I just have the leg to do. I think I could realistically do these in 2 sessions, because I think yesterday, I think I did all of this from this stripe here to the heel. I think I did this all yesterday in like 2 sessions. So one in the afternoon I knit a bit, and then after Avery went to bed I knit a bit more. So I was able to do that in 2 knitting sessions in one day. So I think I could easily get the leg done. If I wasn't working on a bazillion other projects, I could get the leg done, easily done in, you know, maybe two sessions, and then a 3rd session for the cuff or something. So I think I can get these done. So I'll just show again. So last week I mentioned how my plan for picking the charts for my second sock was I was going to do the same charts that I picked, but I was going to go this way. And that's what I've done. So you can kind of see, I find this very interesting. So I've been using the same charts going down this way, but going from the toe. And they're falling on the opposite colored stripe. So like on this sock, this chart pattern was on a blue, and on this sock it's on a gray. And I find it very interesting just to see how the same charts look, especially this one here, how the same charts look on the opposite color. I think it's very cool. So it's worked out pretty well in terms of sizing. Like my leg on this sock is almost the same length as the foot. So when I finished this stripe here, it's the one that's above the heel, and it led me right to where the heel started. So it's worked out really well that way, because I was kind of worried that if the lengths were off, that like my charts were going to be not, you know, not exactly in the same spot, which would have been fine, but it's just kind of neat that they are working out like that. So yeah, I have like 1.5 socks done. This pattern is, I've mentioned it before, and I know I've mentioned it a billion times, but I'm going to say it again. This pattern is so much fun. I swear it knits itself. If you can just sit for a bit and work on your socks, it just, I think part of it is because of the bigger needles. So the toes, heels, and cuffs are made on your regular sock size needle. So I use a 2mm for all my socks. And then the colorwork sections are worked on 1 or 2 sizes bigger. So I'm doing my colorwork sections on 2.5 needles. So I think it's a combination of just the fun of seeing the stripes progress and putting in the charts and seeing how the charts are looking with the striping yarn, and then also with the bigger needles. They go by so fast. When I actually work on these, they knit up so fast. So I'm really enjoying these. I think, I'm going to put it out there, I think I will have a finished pair of socks next week. That's what I'm going to say, especially since my show will be done. Now I still have 2 more to get ready for, but next week I plan on taking a bit of an easier week with, I have to order new fabric, I have to order supplies. So while I wait for those supplies to come in, I'm going to knit. Yeah, so hopefully I will have those to share. And then I have another new project that I want to show you that I will be casting on soon. So I mentioned in my last episode that I've decided to do the first KAL for the She.Must.Knit podcast in my Ravelry group, the Bling Your String group. I'm starting a KAL for the podcast, and it's the ColorWORK-IT KAL. So any kind of color work can fit into this KAL. It can be a teeny tiny project. You can do a hexapuff with, a little color work on it, or you can do a whole color work yoke sweater, whatever. Any project. It can be a project that you've already been working on. I'm not putting any requirements on how much is done already. So even if you're almost done, if it's a color work project, you can pop it in. And then also, I mentioned the Lisa Ross, who, did you hear that? I swear, he is not a noisy cat, but he sounds like a horse when he's running around our house. It's crazy. He's like the loudest, like, stomper. Anyway. Lisa Ross has a whole bunch of colorwork patterns in her Ravelry I don't know, catalog, and she has donated one sock collection as a final prize and also some individual prizes. So if you make any of her colorwork patterns for this KAL, you get 2 entries towards the final prize, and the final prize will be a sock collection from her. I think I'm going to put a sock set in and then some extra little goodies. So if you're working on a color project or a colorwork project, head over to Bling Your String, look for the thread, and pop it in, or like let us know what you plan on working on. So once these socks are done, the next project that I plan on casting on, I do want to do a pair of Lisa socks, but I think I'm going to do them after this one. This is a hat pattern that I have had in my queue since 2015. I've been wanting to make this pattern forever. And it's a hat, and on my bingo card, one of my bingo squares is to make 3 hats for the year, and I've already made 2, so this will complete that bingo square. I always do this in my project. I'm like, okay, what can I make to fit in, you know, to mark off some of my bingo, right? So I was like, perfect, I'll do this colorwork hat, I can put it in our KAL, and I can check off that box can be completed. I'll have knit my 3 hats. And then also I'm going to be using some stash, a skein of stash yarn. So that will go, I have another box for using stash yarn that will contribute to that. So I'm going to pop a picture in, and the pattern is called the Passerine Hat, and it has birds on it, and I love birds. Not so much as pets. And Bern, I know you're not going to like hearing that, but she has a ton of birds. I'm not so much as a pet bird lover, but I love my garden birds. I love my songbirds. I have a bird feeder, and I love watching them. So this hat, when I first saw it, I just love how it looks. And so I've decided to make this hat. And I went digging through my stash, and I came up with this skein here. And this is Natural Dye Studio, and it's a singles, and it's a single weight, it's a single ply sock yarn, and I received this in a swap, and it's a beautiful yarn. It's very soft, but I was like, a sock yarn, I don't know if I would ever want to use a singles for socks. And personally, I'm not as attracted to single ply yarns as plied yarns, so I don't tend to buy them for myself. So this has just been sitting. But I actually think this would be the perfect yarn for this pattern because it's a nice neutral color, like it's kind of like this purpley browny gray. So I think it's a really nice neutral color for the background of the hat. And then I went digging through my my bin of minis, and I found one that's also singles. So this is one that I got in a couple years ago in the Bling Your String group. We did a mini swap. So, you know, you put together a whole bunch of minis and then send them out to different people. So you end up with a whole bunch of minis for your collection. And this is one of the ones I got from that swap. And it's a Tosh Merino Light. So I think it's a pretty good pairing because they're both singles, they're both sock weight yarn. And I think this color will, because this is what the birds will be in, I think there's enough of a difference in the two that this will kind of pop. So that's my plan right now. Now, I do have, there is the frolic tomorrow, so I might look if anybody has the unicorn tails. If the camera shakes, Mr. Trouble just hopped on the table. So hopefully if it shakes too much, I'll cut some of this out. But so yes, the Frolics tomorrow, and I'm hoping some people will have unicorn tails. That's like the minis of the Tosh Merino Light. And if I see a color I like better and I haven't really bought anything else, I might pick up one of those instead. But I think he's gonna rub where the, yep, there it goes. Are you done? But I think that these will be a nice combination, so I don't think I necessarily have to look for an alternative, but I might just in case. So yeah, so that's my next upcoming project. And then right before I get into the collection this week, I just wanted to give you a little update because I only show a few projects every week, but I'm still working on my other projects. So I just wanted to let you know that the sock arm sweater that I'm working on for my friend's daughter, I have now finished the 10.5 inches for the body, and I'm going to be starting to do the yoke and the back and the arms. So you might see that again soon. And then my spinning, I have almost finished the single ply of my gradient, the bamboo gradient yarn that I'm making, and I've gone out and I've bought some beads to go with it, and I'm going to do the gradient, the 3-ply chained, the beaded 3-ply. And I had a couple of people, when I asked if you'd be interested in seeing a video about how I do my beaded chain plies, I had some people say yes, so I think I'm going to try and do that. So those are updates on that. So now my collection. Last week, I gave you 2 options. One was the Disney villains, and then one was the Muppets. And it was pretty much tied. There was multiple people who voted for both, so I've done both. You know what? I figured it's my shop, I can do what I want. So I made little collections for both fabrics. And so I'm going to show you the villains one first. So here's the bag. This is the Disney evil queens, and I guess she's not a queen, but you know, the evil women of Disney. There we go, that's the bag. And then for the sock set, I did 1 sock set, and I'm going to call this one Wicked, and it is just a purple with a green mini. And then within the purple, there are, you can kind of see right there, there's like this layered green in there. So in person, you'll be able to see it a lot more, but there's these areas where a green peeks through the purple, and then there's some dark speckles. So very pretty. I think it goes with the bag really nicely. And then I did some Muppet sets. So here's the Muppet bags. I have 2 of these. So the Muppet bags. I guess I should show you the linings too, right? There's the lining. So fun, fun, fun. If you love fun, bright bags and you love the Muppets, it's such a fun bag. And then for the sock sets, I did 2 for Muppets. And I'm so glad that I wrote down what I did for this one because I love it. I think I need to do it again. So this is the Muppet yarn. Look at that. So it is kind of like a bluey purple base, and then there's all these speckles, fun colors in there. And then I did 1 with a bright blue mini, and then I did 1 with a green mini. So, oh, I love how that turned out. And you'll have to look for the pictures. I'll have these on my site later today, but the pictures I think show up a lot nicer, and then even in person, it's even nicer than what you see here. So that is the Muppet set. So there'll be 2 Muppet bags and 2 sock sets for Muppets, and then 2 Disney bags and 1 sock set for the Disneys. And then I found some new fabrics. Now, okay, because I've been preparing for shows for the last couple of weeks, I have more shows coming up. I have gone through a lot of my prime fabrics. I have like my other fabrics that are, you know, they're okay, but my prime fabrics, I've gone through a lot of them. So I was able to find these ones for this week's vote, and I think they're really pretty. I think they'll make really nice sets and nice yarn, but I cannot wait to order some new fabric. So this is the first choice. So we have some giraffes. I love the blues, how the aqua and the orange and the green, I love those colors together. And then with the neutral gray, I think this would make really, really pretty yarn. So that's your first choice, is the giraffes. And then the second choice is this really pretty, I don't know if these are a type of flower, but I think they're really pretty. I also think the colors are really pretty there, the purples and the oranges and the aquas. So I think this would make really pretty bags and yarn. So those are your 2 choices this week. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I will do up a collection for next week, and then soon I will have some new fabrics. I cannot wait. And new yarns. I'm going to do a yarn order, so I'll have sock blanks again and everything else. And then I will just mention, because of the show, so I will get these sets up on the site today. But if you go on my site today and over the weekend, it's going to look very, very empty, and that's because I've taken everything down to bring to the show. So everything I bring back from my show tomorrow will be back on my website, probably over Monday. Sunday I'm usually pretty dead, but Monday, Tuesday I should be able to get all the stock that came home with me back on the site, and you'll be able to see what's there, what's available. Okay? So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the projects that I shared with you. I hope you've been able to get lots of knitting done. I hope you have a great week and get to make all the things. I will see you soon. Bye.